90 Day Fiancé star Ben Rathbun arrested.
People are going to have very strong opinions, but I'm kind of made for that.
ET can confirm the 52-year-old reality star was arrested on Tuesday in Michigan. According to TMZ, the arrest came as a result of Ben failing to appear at a scheduled probation violation hearing last month.
About 2 weeks ago, I log into Instagram and this post shows up on my feed from Starcasm. I didn't even really read the post at first. I just stared at this photo for a minute. Like, holy crap, what happened to this guy? And some people might be thinking, well, who is that? It's Pastor Ben, the guy who fell in love with a woman we all thought was a catfish on Before the 90 Days. And if you read the post, it looks like Ben was arrested for alleged embezzlement from his former employer. And if you're like, okay, that sucks, well, his former employer is a charity called the Michigan Lupus Foundation. Yeah. He stole money from a charity. And I'm pretty sure he can't use the excuse that he stole because of God's plan, huh? I knew this guy was a weirdo and told creepy stories, but wow, I guess the train really couldn't stop and he had to rob a charity. Jeez. If you would have asked me during Ben's season on Before the 90 Days if this would have happened, I would have probably said no. He's weird, but this is surprising. But then again, if I think really hard, this 50-something creep was chasing after what we all thought was a catfish, and then he did stalk the woman in her own hometown to make sure that she would meet him in person. But I don't know, allegedly stealing from a charity. This guy really messed up his life. I think one of the worst decisions that definitely has not made his life better was going after a younger woman on TV. I actually thought that most of his season was fake too, at least the part where Mahogany acted like she was interested in Ben. Sort of.
Am I your boyfriend or just your friend? Who am I to you?
I think friend.
But I guess his quest to be with Mahogany did lead to some sort of relationship, because after their season aired, these two surprised us all about 9 months ago with a 90 Day Fiancé Diaries update. I think that most people, me included, thought that Mahogany was just going along with them being a couple until the show was over. And then after, you know, she would probably change her phone number, maybe move, just so Ben couldn't find her again. But then here they were on this update episode still together, and they actually had even gotten married. At the same time though, something about their whole update episode seemed off. Was it because Mahogany looked completely miserable the entire time, or was it because Ben was donating blood to make money and was looking pretty disheveled the whole episode? Their appearance alone made me think that there were some sort of issues going on that weren't just about money. But the biggest giveaway to me that something strange was going on was that Ben was on a podcast before this update episode, and he basically said on that podcast that we would never see them on TV again. He even ratted himself out, explaining that Mahogany avoided him because she didn't want cameras on them. He even admitted that he embarrassed himself. He seemed very coherent on the podcast, a bit regretful about appearing on television. It's an interesting listen. In a previous video about them, I talk more about it. I will link that video and the podcast in the description of this video. But overall, the vibe of the podcast did not match the vibe of this update episode.
I love you, baby. Do you know that?
I think so.
I mean, first of all, why would they be back on TV when Ben just said we wouldn't see them again? Unless they were really desperate enough to make some money from the update episode. I mean, they do say in the update that they need to make some money. It just seems so strange to go from saying they wouldn't appear to then appearing and looking like this. Also, I need to point out that this new arrest is not Ben's first arrest.
90 Day Fiancé star Ben Rathbun arrested. According to TMZ, the arrest came as a result of Ben failing to appear at a scheduled probation violation hearing last month. Of course, this all stems from Ben's original arrest back in 2020, when he was busted for OWAI, operating while ability impaired, and he was sentenced to 18 months probation.
Ben has like this whole story he tells about his original arrest. He tells the story on the podcast I linked as well. Pretty much the summary of it is, though, that he says he was drugged and that...
Mahogany?
Oh.
You are real?
Oh my god.
The couple connected online and eventually met in person when the former pastor traveled to Peru to meet Mahogany, who initially stood him up at the airport.
She hasn't responded to me, but I'm an optimist, so it's not over now. I'm not giving up.
Take 2 was more successful. The pair met at a restaurant and Mahogany apologized.
Wait.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's
You
fine.
wait me too much time, maybe.
It's fine.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
wow.
And now that their relationship is public, some fans are criticizing the couple's 30-year age gap. It's a topic Ben addressed in an interview with ET earlier this month.
So all the viewers out there that are so concerned for her and think that I'm, a predator and coming after a young girl, this has become so much more than age. It's so much more than our differences. The things that we've been really focusing on are commonalities. And so those so far outweigh our differences. And she is so mature and wise and intelligent that I haven't really felt that difference.
But when the two initially met, things didn't exactly start off on the right foot.
22?
You don't know my age?
I thought you were 24.
But Ben, who has a daughter the same age as his girlfriend, told ET how he learned to get past it.
She didn't keep reiterating the lie. It was a one-time lie, and so not a problem to me at all. I don't, have a 24-year-old, but I do have a 22-year-old. So it just, I thought if she's older than my kids, it just psychologically, is not that big of a deal. And even that isn't that big of a deal to me. As far as the age of my kids, because I don't look at it that way.
Him being under the influence and driving was all an accident. He pretty much blames a homeless couple for drugging him. Mahogany also had another accident-related drug overdose that they mention in this article that I'll link as well. Are you seeing a pattern here? Both of them having drug-related accidents. This is reminding me of Chris. Chris and Jamie. They just have this terrible luck. There's all these accidents that they're experiencing, but really, something else is going on. I mean, look at this mugshot of him. Just look at this. He doesn't look the same at all. He even actually looks drastically different from this mugshot versus the mugshot from 2022. I don't think a homeless couple drugged him and then he accidentally robbed this charity. So what happened to this guy? He seemed like he was already on a pretty bad path to begin with, but going on a show like 90 Day Fiancé seemed to make all of this so much worse. When you go on the show, you open up the possibility for people online to expose your past, right? Or in this case, Ben had the media broadcast news about him missing his probation violation hearing at one point. And I guess when this had happened after his season had aired, the news actually caught the attention of Ben's employer, which was the charity, the Lupus Foundation. And then Ben actually told In Touch magazine that he was fired from his director position at the Michigan Lupus Foundation after that broadcast. And ironically, that's the charity he's now being accused of embezzling money from. So essentially, he had this OAI before he was on the show, but then when he was on the show, the attention he got basically put a spotlight on his arrest and aired it to the world. So technically, being on 90 Day Fiancé cost him his job. He said in the article that he had initially hid that first incident where he got arrested from his work and his family. But being on the show exposed all of it. And the Lupus Foundation said that he had become a distraction, and I'm sure not a good example of the foundation since he was the director, and he got fired. He was already doing some things that were not smart before the show, but the show definitely cost him his job.
Pastor Ben wants to remind you to subscribe to the Kibbles channel. If you don't, he will appear and read you his creepy train story.
It was a runaway train, every passenger's nightmare. The old train came off the wheels. Baby, my beautiful Mahogany, the train is already going too fast to stop. Let's just dance.
So did 90 Day Fiancé ruin his life? He definitely seemed like he was on a bad path right before the show, but it definitely did not help. So I feel like the show helped ruin his life. But now he's not on the show anymore. And if you look at his mugshot, he looks a whole lot different than when he did